Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Divine Healthy Living. Today we're going to be talking about this teeny part of your DNA, which has incredible implications for the length and quality of your life. My name is Karen Hurd, and I'm here with my friend Donna Martin.
Hi everyone, good morning.
And we are here to share Divine Healthy Living. We are firm believers that God and the shalom of the Lord, which is much more than peace as we understand it. The shalom of the Lord refers to your mental health, your spiritual health, your physical health, relational health, financial health. It's the complete abundance of the Lord in many ways in one word. And we're firm believers that God intends for you to live long, to live healthy, and we are here to help you on that journey as we are ourselves on the journey. So today we're talking about telomeres. When I first heard about telomeres many years ago, it was one of those new words. Nobody was talking about it. Since in the last 10 years especially, the research has exploded on them, and we've come to, when I say we, I mean everybody, people, we've come to understand just how powerful this little tiny piece at the end of your chromosome really.
The first thing is I had to refresh my memory on what they were. And so when I learned that they're the little end cap, and they equated it to the end of a shoestring. And so I loved that analogy, because then some of the things that I didn't know is that as they replicate, as chromosomes replicate, it's impossible for the full chromosome to replicate itself. And so what happens is it gives as much as it can in the copying process, but because it can't copy the whole thing, the telomere is the thing that gets shortened.
Right.
And so one thing I did not know is that everyone has a pre-designed genetic length of their own telomeres. And so I didn't know it was genetic. I mean, I didn't know it was predetermined genetically. And that makes sense when you look at some diseases and everything, especially, I mean, I'm segueing, but, in small children, when they have that disease where they appear old when they're only 7, that really hit home for me. I was like, oh, that's how that works. That explains a lot.
And when you say genetic predetermined, the first that popped into my head was every day was written in your book before a single one of them came to be. So we're not talking about, because I think a lot of times as Christians and people who love the Lord, we're concerned that we are pushing a boundary he set. So when we talk about longevity, it's really, we don't know how many days he has ordered for us.
That's right.
Yeah. And it's about how healthy. So it's being a good steward.
Exactly.
Of the health of those days, right? If he may have ordained 20 years for you.
Yep.
But I believe most people he ordains a long life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's all about taking care of what you're given.
Yes. Yeah. So because health can be one of those things that you can make an idol out of.
Oh yeah. Oh, very much so.
Yeah. And I sometimes we watch old TV shows. We were watching an old Parks and Rec. And they have a character on there. His name is Chris, right? Played by Rob Lowe. And he is he's not a health nut. He's an out of control health nut because he's afraid to die.
He's a health nut on steroids.
He's a health nut. Yeah. And his whole thing is he's afraid to die.
Okay.
So he takes over concerns. We're not talking. So that's not who we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about maybe being like Caleb, who at 80 went up to Joshua, who was also probably in his 80s. And they said, give me my mountain. I can take it. So being 80 years old and being able to take on the next mountain God has for you, that's what I think of when I think about aging. So telomeres, by the way, here's your trivia game. You know what the end of that shoelace is called? The plastic piece? I think it's called an oglet. So there you go. That's for trivia. Next time you're on Jeopardy, I just gave you at least 1,000 points on Jeopardy.
Yeah.
We're going to talk today about the telomeres, how they work.
Mhm.
Right, we're not getting into the it can get really complicated. Okay,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You were fearfully and wonderfully made, which means you are complex, and there's a lot of interrelation. And then as we were doing this, Don and I were talking before the show, and we were amazed at how many scriptures actually, I don't want to say indicate the presence of telomeres, but how much the scripture is reflected in the physiology of your body.
It correlates.
It's amazing.
It's knitted together.
It's almost like there's a creative designer who is the supreme God of all things.
Yep. Imagine that.
Imagine that. So on your telomeres, so like Donna said, they lengthen, right? So you're set with but you can extend that length, and literally the choices you make in your health, the supplements you use, because supplements are a big piece of health. Your attitude will actually be reflected in your telomeres.
Yeah, how you handle stress, even.
How you handle stress. And why is it important? Because when these are long and healthy, you're actually protecting the chromosomes. You're actually protecting your DNA.
Yes.
So Donna was talking about the way the end of that plastic shoe cap keeps your shoelace. You know how it is. You're a kid. You were wearing tennis shoes. Back in the day when we had to tie bows. You had to actually tie your shoes. You couldn't just flip the Velcro on them. But and you remember when the plastic cap would come off, you really couldn't thread your shoelace anymore.
No, the shoelace became unraveled.
It became unraveled and completely.
It was frayed.
And frayed. Yeah, you just got to go get a new one. That's what your telomeres do for your DNA.
Yep.
And they were discovered by an Australian, I think she's a microbiologist, Elizabeth Blackburn. She won a Nobel Prize for it in science, or was it medicine? She won a Nobel Prize for it. She was the first Australian woman to win a Nobel Prize. And this was the work of her life. And out of that work came the concept that we love to talk about on this show called health span.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the best example is maybe you want to live. I mean, I want to live a long life. I've told the Lord 120 years would be good for me. Right? I took that number from, there were 120 years and God gave before the ark, right? Noah had 120 years. And, but I wanted to live a long time. I wanted to have all the days the Lord gave me, because I want to use them well, because we all know when you're older, there's a wisdom, there's things that you've got, you can't get except for being alive and walking down the road, right?
Yep. Yep.
So, but I didn't want to be, and when I was first talking to people about longevity, what I would hear is, well, what they envisioned was nursing homes, wheelchairs, bags and bags of medicines, doctor's visits. That's old age. That can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be.
And so what was really interesting is every habit you make towards your health actually increases the length of your telomeres. Every day, that daily decision. I mean, your body really has a memory. I mean, there's a whole bunch we could talk about there, right? That the Lord gives your body a memory. So what we're talking about is, let's say maybe the days God has ordained for you are 95 years. Let's just pick that number, right? 95 years. And you can live those 95 years one of two ways. You can, even despite what your DNA might be, what your genetic indications might be, what the health heritage of your family might be, you can maximize those 95 years, and maybe just the last 6 months of those 95 years, you're in decline. I'll just keep it really broad like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can make a different decision, and the last 20 years of those 95 years are in decline. Which one do you want to be? The first one or the second one?
Mm-hmm. Right. And when we talk about, the lifestyle choices, they're very simple. Mm-hmm. They're very simple ones to make. They're just small adjustments.
Amen.
Out at fast food places, a lot less. Learning how to stop smoking, incorporating exercise into your diet, learning how to manage your stress, minimizing alcohol intake. They sound like huge things, and they're like such a huge facet of many people's lifestyle. They're like, oh gosh, what are you talking about? These are huge decisions. But when you learn to take them on one by one and you realize how good you feel after you've done it, you'll never go back.
Right.
But it's the idea of taking even one step. We're not saying take 10 steps all in one leap. It's even one step. And then one step builds momentum. Take two, take three. And before you know it, you're feeling better. And your doctor's calling you up saying, hey, your blood sugar levels are a lot lower because what did you do differently? And you can pinpoint those things. And that's basically what we're talking about, because the lifestyle choices that we're talking about that shorten the telomeres are the very things that you have the power to change, which is smoking, managing your stress, exercising, changing your outlook, drinking less, and just things like that. And like I said, I'm making it sound like it's just so easy. Oh, it's just things like that. But it's those little things that really do add up to a big, big, big picture.
And I think we've done some other shows. We just did one recently on simplifying wellness, where we give you some very practical ideas to doing these steps, because you can just start with one extra glass of water a day. It doesn't, I know we do challenges in our wellness groups because they're fun. They're kind of fun to concentrate on one aspect of wellness, for 5 days or 7 days or 30 days to build that habit. Right. But even a single extra glass of water a day starts you there, and all in your body you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and he's given you a responsive body. So when Donna says smoking, I want to include vaping and smoking.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So that's all. Anything you're going to ingest through electronic or through a flame, doesn't matter. Let's talk about, so I want to talk first a little bit about how stress impacts telomere length. So we're going to talk a little bit about stress, a little bit about diet, and then we're going to talk about there is a set of compounds that usually the best way to get them is supplements that really, one of them has been proven to extend telomere length. And we do want to share that with you because that's an important tool that you can do immediately and get started on that. So let's talk a little bit about stress. Stress is a killer. But it's not just the act of stress, and that's just the bottom line. That's why stress management is a lot more than just kind of learning how to be happier in life. And when we talk, and to me, there's no way to manage it. You can physical things you can do, but your walk with the Lord is a big, big, big piece.
Yeah.
It's absolutely huge. The joy of the Lord is your strength. And I know that there's times in life where the wind gets sucked out of you. And it may be difficult in that moment to tap into the joy of the Lord, but keep persevering, practicing your gratitude, keep looking for and seeking, asking the Holy Spirit to help you understand and reframe the experience. Ask him to show you the good in it. All things work together for good for those that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. That's Romans 8:28. It's true verse. The most horrible things in life, you put it in the Lord's hands and he will bring it to good. Why is that important when we're talking about telomere length? Well, here's what's interesting. Depending on how you frame that stress. So again, two people, both experiencing loss of job, right? There's a lot of folks that because of recent decisions by those who see themselves as in charge of our lives, is putting people's livelihoods at risk.
Yeah.
I don't think I can say it any more broadly than that. We've got, if you're tired of being bossed around like that, reach out to us. Okay, we have a solution that really worked for a lot of people for a long time. But if you're looking at that loss of job, one of two ways. You can either see that, and we're not talking about whether or not there's a drop in income or changes that might be difficult. We're not talking about that. Let's say those are all the same for the purposes of our conversation. But one is going to really impact your telomeres and your outlook and your long-term health. And one will have a minimal effect and maybe even a positive effect. And here's what it is. If you're looking at that loss of job, as, oh no, what am I going to do? This is hard. We're going to lose the house. And not that those aren't concerns, but if you over focus on those, if that's all you can see out of that, you're going to shorten your telomeres. You're going to introduce a lowered immune system. You're going to do a lot that's going to be negative for your body. If, however, you can start to frame that loss of job as, well, I want to see what door is going to open now. Well, maybe this is a different opportunity. This isn't a failure. I had to take a stand. I'm going to look for what God is going to bring out of this. You know what you're going to be doing in your body?
Yeah, you're going to be safeguarding it.
You're going to be safeguarding your body. You're going to be lengthening your telomeres even in the presence of stress. You're going to be increasing your immune response. You're going to be increasing your mental health because, believe it or not, telomeres actually impact mental health. So one of the things that was really intriguing to me is how there was a correlation between telomeres and mental health issues, bipolar disorder, things like that. It's really, really fascinating. Because we're fearfully and wonderfully made. We are integrated, holistic beings, and this is why a holistic lifestyle is so important. So just right there, whenever you're under stress, again, this isn't about denial. It's just about, we're going to use the red blue pill analogy. So let's say you're given a red pill, which means you just had a dose of reality. You've got two choices. You can go blue pill, which is pretending that didn't happen and ignoring it. You can go black pill, which is falling into despair over it. Or you can do what I call green pill, which is, I'm going to look for the good. I'm going to purpose to set my mind on God. I'm going to keep practicing good health habits because that I can control. And I'm going to see what good is going to come out of this.
Graham Cook used to say, when what seems to be negative is happening, ask the Lord, where's the upgrade? Where's the opportunity?
Oh, yes. Where's the upgrade?
That's the first thing. And, there's a lot of stories, a lot of testimonies about people who practiced that and saw actual upgrade. So when they thought something was really horrible because they lost their job, what God was really doing was taking them out to give them something like way better.
Right. A new business. The loss of a job became a new business that opened huge doors they never could have had.
Yep, exactly.
So, and you wanted to share something before we moved on about telomeres and stress. So managing stress is not a joke. It's a real thing. It has an absolute impact on the length of life and how you look. Telomeres are related to how well you age. So everything we're talking about not just expands your health span, it's your face. It's going to show in the countenance. It's going to show in your face. It's going to show in your weight. Belly fat is related to stress. And I don't want to get off the subject of telomeres too much.
Right.
But so it's important. It's the best thing you can do for yourself is to manage your stress. So you were talking, Donna, about Psalm 118 being your favorite psalm for this.
Well, actually, I was incorrect. It's actually Psalm, hold on just a second here. It's Psalm 16:8.
Oh, Psalm 16:8. Okay.
And I love this because it says, I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved. And I love that because it's saying, whatever comes at me, God is always with me. And whatever I perceive as horrible and catastrophic, God may not see it that way. And he always does things for our good. And so we need to really get in that practice of asking the Lord, how do we see it through your eyes versus how we perceive it in the worldview? Because there's always something good about it around the corner. But it's how we take it. And, that's the opportunity right there, even to exercise and practice walking in your walk.
Right. That's really showing faith. Even you might be weeping, you might be devastated and still saying, but Lord, show me the good in this. So it's not about denial. It's about taking this thing that happened, even a really, really horrible thing that just does not make sense this side of heaven.
Yeah. And
and
some
say, Lord,
people say
make it
fake it till you make it, and that's fake it till you make it's not gonna do it. You really
yeah.
need to really believe that he has good for you.
And the more you practice that, not only are you lengthening your telomeres,
Yep.
you're actually getting physically stronger, spiritually stronger, and you will increase in the joy of the Lord. And one day you'll say, well, where did that come from? It came from all these steps that you were taking. Something that I learned about telomere length and marriage was absolutely fascinating. And so, yes, the physical side of marriage increases your telomere length, which is interesting. But the other thing was, the longer you've been married, the more in sync your telomere length is with your spouse. The Bible says the two shall become one flesh. Who knew that? And it has to do, I mean, there's a whole lot of science with that that's actually also related to the physical side of marriage and the exchange that happens there. But your telomeres actually come in sync the longer you are married. So people who've been married 50 years, their telomeres are in much synced up compared to somebody who's a newlywed.
Wow.
So the process of aging well together is actually a marriage strengthener. You see this? You see when you start to live a shalom lifestyle, when you're looking for how God has ordained and orchestrated and integrated all of it, you might be working on your longevity and your health span, and all these other areas come up. It's really, really, really cool. And one of the things that Donna had alluded to earlier was clean eating.
Yes.
Eating the Mediterranean diet has been shown to lengthen telomeres.
Yep.
So that's not exclusively plant-based. It is probably about 60 to 70% fruits and vegetables, all different kinds, whole grains, healthy oils, low to moderate alcohol use,
Right.
and a small amount of healthy meat and dairy.
Yep. Exactly.
So you wanted to share, Donna, what you learned about clean eating and telomeres.
Well, when we don't eat cleanly, we introduce more free radicals into our bodies because of the processed foods. And even just the molecular structure of a lot of processed foods, when they go into our body, they create free radicals, which accelerates the aging process.
Right.
And so when you choose to eat healthfully and cleanly, meaning a balance of what Karen just talked about, fresh fruits and vegetables, lean, healthy meats, complex carbohydrates, all those things, moderate alcohol. What that's going to do is it's going to protect those telomeres. It's going to protect the chromosome, and it's going to keep your body healthier longer. And it's going to slow down the aging process, because it's going to, any free radicals that you happen to have in your body, when you have a high fruit and vegetable intake, which is high antioxidant, that kills the free radicals and it combats them. And so that's kind of like the warrior that goes into your body. It fights the battle for you on the inside and keeps your body protected. So when we think about those choices that we make, and then we also go into free will, we need to really free will those clean eating choices, because ultimately it does impact you. When you think it's just once or maybe twice, it really is a big decision that you make when you do that, because the impact on your body is more significant than you realize.
Well, that brings me to what you just said about the impact on your body. I want to talk to you about a study. Don and I are big believers in natural supplements as to help you with your health. The food supply is not what it used to be. The stressors and the free radical exposure in our current culture, the way we live, our lifestyle, stress, all of that, even if you're eating healthy and clean, it's not enough given the demands placed on your body. So there's always a shortfall, and supplements not only fill that gap, a lot of times they can deliver antioxidants and all this kind of good stuff that your body needs that's difficult to get in your diet in a very convenient way. So for me, it provides a baseline. So we have a product that has been shown to lengthen telomeres. and to extend telomere. I mean, it's an extreme. I think it's actually one of our best sellers, and it's one of the I think most important products that we have. They were doing a study on telomeres and fast food. So to Donna's point about even one time, and what they did is they got healthy young men who are like, free food, we're in for it, and we get paid to be in the study, we're in for it, we're in college. So what they did is they took a DNA sample to measure their telomere length, and then they fed them a 1,500 calorie fast food breakfast. It happened to be a fast food sandwich. I don't think that sandwich is available anymore, but I looked it up and it was a well-known fast food brand. And then 5 hours after eating this sandwich, they measured their telomere length and found that in a single meal, they experienced telomere shortening. A single meal, a single fast food meal. So they had to wait the 2 weeks to complete the study. The 2 weeks later, it's fast food day again. So they took the DNA sample, gave them the fast food sandwich again, and this time they gave them 1 serving of this particular supplement, a single serving, and measured their telomere length 5 hours later. They were blown away. Here's what happened. They had hoped to see that the telomere length at least remained the same. What they discovered was that this particular supplement was so effective that even in the presence of a fast food meal, which was shown to damage and shorten telomere length, in the presence of the supplement, it actually protected and extended telomere length. So it actually negated the telomere damage. Now, there was the calorie damage and that was what they were measuring, right? So that's with studies. Yeah. They always look at like one small component. You cannot extrapolate that to the whole entire meal.
Right.
But wasn't that amazing?
That's incredible.
And then there was another study done on this particular supplement. And it was a long-term study, like over 5 years. And it showed that people who were older, like about 80 years old-ish, had the same telomere length, or similar, I want to make sure my words are exact, right, as a 40-year-old.
Yeah.
So in the presence of this particular supplement program, with this product, the telomere length was actually similar to the telomere length of a healthy 40-year-old non-smoker. So what did that mean for these 80 years old? Their health span was incredible. They were now, all that wisdom that they got, they could actually play with their grandbabies. They could actually be there to be engaged in family and church and civic life and business still.
Yep.
So we don't have to see old age as being shunted off into some, living center where you age faster in one of those centers, by the way. So somebody was telling me she had worked in an assisted living for a long time as a volunteer, and had told me that people in assisted living centers have an average lifespan once they're in there about 18 months, regardless of what happened when they got there. Their health condition. Go on, Donna.
Well, and when you were talking about the fast food study, one thing that came to my mind was, that one meal was 1,500 calories. And that's a whole day's worth for a lot of people. But most people nowadays, they do that more than once a day.
Yeah.
And so when you think about what that's doing to their body, if they're doing it more than once a day, what that's doing, and the importance of making that decision to put a halt to it as fast as you can and get reversing that as fast as you can, because that's, you look at the correlation between that and cancer rates, and then you you understand a little bit better. Because the other thing I learned too, when those telomeres are gone and your chromosomes unravel, that's the onset for a lot of diseases that they consider age-related when they're not really age-related. It has to do with your telomeres being gone. And so that's also the onset of a lot of cancer too, because now your chromosomes are fraying and they're falling apart. And so that stands to reason. That really makes a lot of sense. I hope that those of you who are listening today will really take to heart what we're saying about this opportunity to make some changes.
And the cool thing is your body's responsive. So maybe
Yes.
you're 80 years old. I'm not picking on 80-year-olds. Um, but we tend to think at that age, if you're in your 80s, that you're just like, running out the clock. No. We need active 80-year-olds. Okay, we need active 80-year-olds. But let's say you're 80 years old and you decide, you know what? I'm not feeling that great. I'm going to try to drink more water. I'm not feeling that great. Maybe I can't move as much as I used to. I'm going to try to do stretching, even just 5 minutes a day. Even those tiny, tiny, tiny steps, your body will start responding in the positive.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So you were designed to live. You were designed for life, right? The main compound in this one product is called Resveratrol. And if you just kind of do a cursory search on Resveratrol, it's absolutely amazing what it does. The problem is they're not all the same. You can imagine the sources are different. But that was the whole thing about remember the whole red wine thing?
Yes.
Resveratrol is in red wine. Well, in this particular supplement, a single serving is the antioxidant equivalent of 100 glasses of red wine, without the calories and the other effects that 100 glasses of red wine would do. So all the upside, not the downside. But what was interesting is when I started researching Resveratrol, and then they blend it with some other things because they're always looking for what is the synergistic, what is the whole and best way this can be delivered.
Right.
I know for me, when I took it, I was entering a certain phase in my life called perimenopause, and it made a huge, huge difference. It made a huge difference. And we have just lots and lots and lots of stories. They are not medical claims. They are stories of what people noticed in terms of how their brain worked, in terms of all kinds of things. And this particular one also helps with your mitochondria. Start looking up mitochondria. mitochondria. Mitochondria is the little energy piece of your cells. So if you're not having enough energy, it's a powerhouse. If you don't have enough mitochondria, you can be terminally ill. So it's teeny, 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 tiny, but incredibly important.
Oh, yeah.
It's life, right? So this particular product also helps your body make more mitochondria. This particular body helps offset the damage that naturally occurs in your body as a process of processing sugar, whether that's a good healthy sugar, like in a piece of apple, or whether that's, you went down a donut binge. Doesn't matter. Sometimes it's the quantity of effect, but the effect is still there. It helps with that, and it helps maintain healthy blood levels of a bunch of things. That's the way you have to say it, because I don't know what the FDA is allowing us to say anymore. So Get with us. We've also got for you the forward to a book that was specifically written to this group of people, to the telomere effect. It's a forward to that. We've got it. It's by Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn. It's really amazing. We'll get that to you. We'll drop a link to reach out to us. And so if you're watching this from Donna's page, reach out to Donna. If you're watching this from mine or listening, get to us. We'll get that to you. And we'll also send you a link. Maybe you're one of those people. You're taking supplements, but are you taking the right ones? Are you taking the ones that you really need? Are you wasting your money? It's hard to know sometimes. It's really hard to know. And we're big, big believers, and you have to build a foundation. You build a foundation before you target. And a lot of people start by targeting and they ignore the foundation. So they're not really getting as good of a use out of what they're doing as they could. So we've got a very important free assessment. It has been scientifically validated, but it will take your lifestyle, your goals, your budget, and create a customized, personalized nutrition regimen for you that's as easy as opening up the packet in the morning and at night if you've chosen that one. So
Yeah.
it's fantastic. We will get that to you. It is patent pending. And it is just people that have been using it and have really loved it. First off, it helps you maintain that healthy habit we keep talking about. So as we are wrapping up, we want to encourage you
Excuse me.
start taking those daily habits seriously. They really,
Yes.
really matter. The smallest part of your DNA can have a big, big impact on your life, and it's worth paying attention to.
Yes.
And Donna, any last words before we roll off?
Nope, I just want to thank everyone for joining us today.
And we want to wish you the full shalom of the Lord. Thank you again for listening to the Divine Healthy Living Show. By the way, if this has been helpful to you, if you've got somebody who goes, you've got that friend, she needs encouragement to drink more water or to do that. Maybe it's you, right? Feel free to share this. It's really just beneficial when you share this. We help to educate others. And if you love it, drop us a comment below. Anything you need us to talk about, we'll be happy to do that. Thank you again for joining us on the Divine Healthy Living Show. I'm Karen Hurd, along with Donna Martin, and we wish you the shalom of the Lord. Bye now.
Bye, everyone. Bye.